You may have seen me use a retrobit power stick in some episodes. It's an arcade stick for the NES, but it's a simplified version of what it's based on, the NES Advantage. Developed by Essyware for Nintendo and released in 1987, the NES Advantage is a home arcade stick that has a turbo feature for shoot 'em ups and a slowdown feature. The slowdown feature is primarily used to cheat your way through difficult platformers. Like you see in its original commercial, the NES Advantage tried to be the next cool thing on the block and has its ties to pop culture. An NES Advantage can be seen in Ghostbusters 2, where it is used to control the movement of the Statue of Liberty. Christina Aguilera was seen using it at the start of a music video. But that's also because she was in some Nintendo commercials as a kid in the early 90s. You gotta hand it to the Nintendo of America design team. The original NES was designed in about 30 minutes, but to see all the peripherals after that fall in line gives the whole NES era a very consistent look. Looking at the unit itself, you have a 1-2 player switch, select, start, slow, A-B and a turbo function. A red light will indicate an input when you hit the A or B button. When you switch turbo on, and you speed it up using the dialer, you will see the corresponding light blink faster to indicate the speed of the turbo setting. Pretty neat. The buttons and the arcade stick itself are without micro switches, but the stick works fine without them. The overall build quality is very impressive. Seems like some things were just made to last back then. This is especially evident when you compare it to the retrobit power stick. What's the best way to play the NES Advantage? This will be a bit subjective, but there are some tips from the fighting community. One is to hold the stick between your pinky and ring finger. This works very well for fighting sticks, but less so for the NES Advantage. So, no advantage there. It can also help to see what movements you actually make with your hands for those 4 directions. Understanding those movements might make you a faster player. Obviously, we're gonna try a few games to see what works well. There is a game which came to mind first, and I have tested it in a co-op session with Shane, and that's Double Dragon 2. Because I've been playing it for a longer time with the retrobit power stick now, I decided not to include it in this video. Because of the release of Shredder's Revenge, I was in a turtle mood. I can tell you right away, I really suck at this game, and the NES Advantage doesn't really give me the advantage. You could argue that tapping A with the stick feels like you're attacking a little bit quicker than using your thumb on a normal controller. But there are games where that's way more evident. Popeye is a port of an arcade game, and here you feel that the stick is right at home. Just like Mappy or Pac-Man, it's all about movement, turning corners and evasion. With the stick it feels like you have a better sense of motion. The best example I can give you is that when you move in a left or right direction on the D-pad and then suddenly go up or down, sometimes the input doesn't register perfectly and you miss a turn or a ladder. Rush and attack is about shooting and evading. Movement wise, the NES Advantage doesn't bring that much to the table here, but like I mentioned earlier, attack inputs feel quicker than using your thumb. When you need to step in quick succession to make sure the enemy doesn't touch your hitbox, the NES Advantage works faster and is less tiresome for your hands in the long run. It also feels kind of satisfying, like firing bullets in Galaga. Super Mario is a difficult one. On the one hand, yes, it plays better with an arcade stick, but that's only if you've gotten used to it. And that might take some time. So it's either way. It does feel somewhat like you have a nanosecond more to adjust your position in the air before landing. The A and B button feel better when using your thumb, in my opinion. In this case, it's really about preference. What feels more natural to you? The last game I'm playing with the NES Advantage was one I was very curious about. Because it's also based on an arcade game, I thought it might just be perfect for it. Marble Madness is visually striking in a way. but with the NES controller it feels like you're not in complete control of the marble. The arcade stick seems to give you a bit more time to adjust your position. That's gotta be because of the length of the stick. More space between inputs, so there is more room for precision. I really felt like this game was supposed to be played with the NES Advantage. I like the game a whole lot more now, and I can recommend you guys try it for yourself sometime. I had the NES Advantage staying over for a few weeks and now it's going back to its original owner. I was impressed by the quality, the looks, and especially by Marble Madness and how it played. It does have less of a pick up and play quality though. The Advantage works best when you're playing behind a desk or a table, and not everyone has their NES set up that way. In my opinion, it's one of those gotta haves but can live without. Like that high school crush or that game that's on sale. Stay shiny guys!